Welcome to Dig It, a real estate podcast by Hubble Realty Company.
Hello, I am Gail McGaughy, and I'm a physical therapist at On With Life, but also a clinical team lead in our outpatient program, and have been with On With Life for the last 12 years and have a 26 plus year career. After I think 26 years, we just don't.
You don't have to count it anymore.
Right? It's like being 29 forever. So 26 plus year, and have always been in the neuro population, which is what we serve at On With Life. So anything to do with a neurological diagnosis of whatever. So whether it's traumatic brain injury or somebody who's had a stroke, but also a whole host of other neurological disorders like Parkinson's. And we started our Parkinson's programming back in 2013. And that was when we were in the little house. We'll call that the outhouse. That's on property. So if you ever drive in, it's now the family house, and we're actually about to get 2 new ones. But outpatient was formed when they literally plopped a modular home on property and called it outpatient. So we called it the outhouse because that, wasn't connected. But we've been seeing people with Parkinson's for since 2013. And in large part, felt it was such a diagnosis in this community that was misrepresented. There's a lot of people that have this disorder that really weren't getting served. And we felt, yes, traumatic brain injury and stroke was kind of like our bread and butter, but this was a population that we really, really needed to grow and serve. You people, you guys need us. We need you. Yeah.
Well, it takes a village. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
And this was the last piece of my puzzle, Gail. I came in, I don't know if you remember the first day, I was in a wheelchair, and then I was in a walker. I started my therapy in a wheelchair and a walker. And now I'm proud to say, because of On With Life, I can walk 1.5 miles on my own. I have my ups and downs, which is, you'd be realistic, but you may have saved my mental as well as physical outlook on life.
Yeah. I remember, Bob, meeting you for the very first time. You were sitting in that wheelchair. Jeannie was there, your daughter, your granddaughter. And I was like, dude, you're coming to our program. Whether you want to or not, you're coming to our program. And you looked at me like, ooh, she's crazy.
Yeah, well, there's something to that. You guys from day one gave me, I guess, hope. I felt like I was a member of the team. And when Gail told me that day, everybody's been telling me, it's all right, you're going to get better. But it just seemed like she was very sincere about it, very compassionate about it, and it pervasive through our whole staff. Mm-hmm. All of the people I work with here are wonderful. How in the world could I come to a place, work on my speech, my dexterity, and my physical well-being, walking and such, and have 10 different therapists, and all of them are great. They're great.
Yeah.
I mean,
struck gold.
They're just, it was a team. I feel like my first session when I left to have a little sabbatical or whatever you call it, I thought, man, I'm not sure I like that. Yeah. Normally you'd look forward to something like that, but.
So when you talk about a sabbatical, what you're talking about is our episodic care. So when we saw you that first time, we see you for a chunk of time. We establish those goals. We say, hey, Bob, we're going to X, Y, and Z. These are the things that you want to work on. We're going to help you get there. Once you kind of get there, then one of the best therapies is for you to go live life. We shove you out the door. We cut the apron strings. I guess we give you a sabbatical, but we say, hey, you got to come back because we have to have a tune-up. And I want to say that, are you on your 4th tune-up now?
This is my 3rd.
3rd, okay.
Well, before you get too much further, can we back up? Bob, can you give people a little bit of an idea of what you experienced and kind of how you got to On With Life?
Yeah, sure. No
if
problem.
You could.
No problem. I was active all of my life. I was a teacher and a coach.
Bless you.
Runner.
No kidding.
Teacher, which one? A or B?
We'll go with A.
Till I retired from teaching and coaching in 2018. I was at Cedar Falls High School. Coached track, cross country, so I wasn't a great runner talent-wise, but I've been running all my life. And all of a sudden, that was gone. I started having trouble keeping my balance. I started having trouble with my endurance and walking and things like that. I just noticed, I thought my running days were over. I thought I was just getting old. But once I went to the neurologist and they diagnosed me with Parkinson's disease, then for the first couple of years, I noticed some things, but nothing too serious. I fell and broke my collarbone and just snapped it here, and it affected my mobility. It affected my life greatly, and it seemed like it just kicked my Parkinson's in. It just gave it a boost. And Jeannie, my wife, who is the great captain of the team, believe me, she got me to a neurologist, and I went through that treatment in Iowa City, and now I've got a great doctor here in Des Moines also. But I guess to answer your question, it's been about a 2-year journey to get to this point where I can walk on my own.
Wow.
And without the support of On With Life, I'm convinced I'd still be in a wheelchair.
Were there some signs that you maybe look back on and you say, oh, I wish I would have maybe looked into that sooner? Because I know that is something people, again, tend to dismiss here and there, to say, well, it's hell getting old and it's this and that. It's just the way it is. But
well, I got to a point where my wife and I both retired, and I couldn't walk.
Gotcha.
I wasn't mobile on my own. In fact, I fell one time after I saw Gail and the staff here, and then the following week I started with my therapy. Yeah. And I give them all the credit. I realize they're very humble about that, but what a great bunch of people to work with.
What was it like meeting? What was it like meeting each other outside of Gail saying, "Come on, you're coming with me"?
I just browbeat him, and he had to come anyway. But sorry, Bob. Just in general, when we work with people with Parkinson's and really any neurological diagnosis, like you have people who they will be like, I have this disease, but this disease has me. So you kind of have two boats of people. Those people that just sort of accept I have this and it's going to take me. And then we have people that are like, I have this disease, but I'm going to do everything I can to beat this disease. And Bob is the kind of guy who throws on his cape and he's going to run into the fire, and you're going to be like, oh, I'm going to beat this disease. It's very, very easy with Parkinson's or any of the diagnoses to like feel like you got beat down, right? It's really tough sometimes with anxiety and depression, and my life is not what I thought it would be. But Bob is the guy, he's going to be like, challenge me more. You want me to do that? Okay, I'll do that, but I'll do it 10 times and then you're going to challenge me more. And I think that's what I saw like from the very, very get-go, challenge me more. Your second episode of care last time you came in and I found out you were a runner. What did I say to you?
Well, we put the harness on me, right?
Put the harness on you.
The harness on me right away. And I can't recall exactly the wording, but it was something to the fact, don't give that up as maybe a chance that could happen again.
Yeah. I know I looked at the therapist and I was like, run him. And they're like, what? I said, run him.
Yeah, exactly.
Run him.
That was one of the proudest moments of my life. Here I am running marathons when I was younger, half marathons, and from the end of the hallway to the opposite end of the hallway.
There you go.
I was in tears because you believed in me that I could do that.
Run him. There's no reason why you couldn't. You were in a harness. You might as well run. And really, when you think about, again, the like return to purpose or the joy of being you identified with running. Why are we not running you?
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. And you lose your independence with Parkinson's. Now, don't take that wrong. Don't push the panic buttons. You can get a lot of those things back.
Yeah. I mean, you're evidenced by it. And I think to myself too, I often wish that I would do a better job of like pre and post videos of people. I would have loved, even for the audience or just people in general, to have seen what we saw when you first came into us 2 years ago and who you are now. And honestly, I mean, you say it's because of us, but it's really because of you. Everything that we ask you to do or push you, you don't hold back. You just do it. That's a testament to like you maybe not necessarily beating this disease, because we know it's degenerative, but you're living with it and it doesn't have you.
Well, I tell you, Gail, you give me the spirit to fight it every single day. I have some days. Well, we all have days when you get a little bit of self-pity. I'm a diabetic. I've been diabetic for 47 years. And I fought that all the time. That's probably why I'm still sitting here this morning. And I thought through your help, I've got to take the same attitude. I'm going to battle this every day.
Yep.
And whatever they tell me to do, I'm going to do it because I trust them. They know what they're doing.
And I think too, I mean, this is it's a degenerative disease, and we know that things change. So when we talked about episodic care and you keep coming back to us for tune-ups, and then you have your sabbatical, which is kind of funny.
Might have to pick that up.
I know, your sabbatical.
Sounds like a teacherly word.
Yeah,
doesn't
it does actually.
Sabbatical.
So when you do that, we know that when you come back, things might not be the best. Like it might have changed. For you, it's each time you come back, you keep getting better. But there's other times where people come back and things are worse, and then we have to figure that out. And I think what our goal at On With Life is, just in general with anybody, is traveling that journey. Like I know that you guys feel that way, that we have your back. You can call, you can email, you can pop in and be like, hey, things are changing. Help me through this. And we have your back. We're traveling that journey with you.
Well, it's the way you conduct yourself during the time I'm here at the clinic too. Everybody cares. Everybody knows your name. Everybody's on the team. They'll still say, oh, well, I talked to this other therapist and they told me this. I can tell like they're meeting and talking and communicating that Bob's Bob and Joe over here, or Pete or Charlie or whoever, they're a different person.
Yeah.
And I don't know, Gail, I always thought there's no map or there's no manual. Everybody's a little bit different that has this. And that's the way you treated me, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, we always say, Bob, like, man, if you've met one person with Parkinson's, you met one person with Parkinson's, because everybody's different. We say the same thing about brain injury and stroke, and what we do try to do is really meet people with where they're at that moment in time, and it is all about you. I mean, I say it's about me, but it really is all about you.
You two together seem like trouble. I'm just going to throw that out there between the harness runs and the...
I mean, the other thing that
Take
Bob...
this show on the road?
Maybe. We might have to.
I don't know if we'd get paid, though, Bob.
I don't know. We couldn't afford us, probably.
I think they'd ask us to not do it. The other thing that I want to throw out there for you, Bob, is that you love to bowl. So what else have we been working on?
Well, I tell you, I think it was Jade. So we're going to play baseball today. Well, I'm a baseball player, baseball fan, baseball fanatic. And I went out and hit that wiffle ball. I still have my hand-eye coordination. I wouldn't want to have a pitcher throwing bullets at me, but and that was so rewarding for me.
Yeah.
Just that. But the first time I rolled the pins at the plastic pins, just to be able to make that motion again. You take those things for granted.
Yeah.
And and when you come here and you can see progress, you can see people that care, it motivates you to do it. Like I can't go out and play live baseball anymore, but I know that it's something that was so near and dear to me. It's still possible, even though I have Parkinson's disease.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think I often will say that you're one of our poster children for our Parkinson's
We
programming.
should get him on a Wheaties box.
We could.
We should.
Actually, I'm going to make one of those for you.
I mean, there have been plenty of other athletes who've been on them, right? Like, come on.
Well,
Yeah.
Michael Jordan, Bob.
Well, I mean, and also one of the things, yeah, you are a poster child, but Bob and his wife and family have agreed to be one of our 4 families that we highlight for Celebrate Life this year. For that reason, you really exude sort of like you're demonstrating what we do from a programming standpoint, but you're living the life. And so we appreciate the fact that you're willing to give back, one, in this programming, but also for Celebrate Life and be a beacon for other people. That's so encouraging for others just to see, what's out there.
I feel confident that as a team, I can deal with this as I get older.
Yeah.
If I don't get any worse than this, I'm not going to whine and complain about it. It's tough for me to walk sometimes. I'm sore just about every day. I have the kinesia. But when I come to On With Life, they've got me doing different activities, and they're reinforcing the behaviors that I'm having that are positive. And we don't expect you to run marathons anymore. We don't expect you to be able to maybe be an announcer like I was, younger. But we're going to make you the best we possibly can. And if we can't have this strategy, we'll do something different.
I love that you were an announcer, and when you're behind the mic today, and you're just like you never stop.
Well,
honestly,
there's some things you could ask me to do. I think, oh boy.
We get a live screen up here and call a game maybe. How, this is me asking because I truly don't know, how is the technology or the science behind Parkinson's and research changing? How has it changed maybe from 10 years ago to, what's coming up? How does that?
So one of the things with Parkinson's in general is like there's a big unknown as to really what is it? What triggers it? Where does it come from? A lot of times they say it's idiopathic, but could it be environmental? We live in Iowa, and we know that there's a swath of pesticides and chemicals in our ground and our water and what have you. And we have a lot of people that live rurally as well. And so environmentally, like we always ask a question about, do you drink well water? Were you raised on well water or whatever? So there's an environmental component. There's definitely a genetic component as well. So we have that gene and something triggers it, and then that gene decides to start doing something different. Regardless, we know that it's a lack of dopamine. So our brain stops making dopamine, and slowly as the disease progresses, it's that much more depletion of dopamine. So there's a gold standard called carbidopa-levodopa, which actually most people with Parkinson's, like that is their first line of medication. But their second line of medication is what, Bob? Is it a medication, or your first dose of medication, or your first dose is medication and your second dose is
physical therapy,
exercise. Good job. Yep.
Got to get moving in the morning.
Yeah. And from a research standpoint, there's tons of research that's occurring all the time about being able to slow the progression or to not have the dopamine loss and what have you. And so, in May of this year, the federal government did like a big act to be able to say we're going to stop Parkinson's. So the funding, the NHS funding toward Parkinson's research is just growing that much more. So we need to stop this disease process. In the States, there's about 1 million people who have Parkinson's. Yeah. And in the state of Iowa, we're at about 13,000. So it's a lot of people that have PD, and a lot of people that need resources and to stop this disease progression.
One of the things I like best about On With Life is that they don't like the term can't.
Yeah.
I've learned that real early on. I was sore and tired when I first started. I can't, and I don't know which therapist it was. They're all wonderful. And he said, we don't use the word can't around here.
No.
I was going to say, by Gail's face, I can see she's
like, on the other hand,
I want to take that wiffle bat and whack you up the head. We don't say can't. Yes, we can say we'll try, right?
Yeah.
There's no I can't.
No.
I love that.
Or I like to say, you bet, let's go. Come on, prove me wrong.
Well, I couldn't believe it. They gave it back just for a second.
Yeah.
Running in on the hallway? Have you seen me lately? I mean.
But you did it.
But I did it.
You did it. And it just it did something that just your heart just used to love.
Well, they celebrate the highs very well here. The day of my first session, or at the end of my first session, the day I left, the entire staff was out here in the hallway applauding me. So I start sobbing like a baby.
Well,
but then it just dawned on me that everybody did really care.
Yeah.
They care enough to send me out the door in a parade-like thing. Like a birthday party or something
we call it our pom-pom celebration. And so we do that with everybody who graduates that episode of care. And we all line up in the hall, and we've got pom-poms, and we usually are singing the graduation song or whatever. And it honestly is, it's a recognition of an accomplishment, but also to let people know that we care, and we are in it with you. We are in this journey with our person served. Doesn't matter what the diagnosis is, that we're with everybody, and we want to celebrate those successes.
Well, and you're consistent with it, that's very important. Like you lost some personnel, gained some personnel during my sessions. It doesn't matter. The atmosphere is behind you. You're a team. We're working on this together. And believe me, if you have something like Parkinson's, there are some moments where you think, I'm in this alone. Mm-hmm. And since I've come on with life, I've never felt like I was in it alone.
Mm-mm. Well, and you participate in the support group every once in a while, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we do offer, we offer a lot of other programming for Parkinson's, but support group is one of those. And we always try to make it educationally based, but also support and sharing for not only the person with Parkinson's, but also their caregivers. Because really, when think about the caregiving standpoint, it is a ripple, right? Like you say it takes a village, but it's also a village that's living in your house, having to kind of deal with all of this stuff. And so we've created a lot of wellness programming, but particularly the support group, where you can walk into that room and be newly diagnosed, or you can be diagnosed for 15 years or whatever it is. And the information that you're hearing is information that you need to have, to live your life. But you're also hanging out with people that you're like, you've had it for how long? Oh, wow, you look great. And what did you do? And how did you do that? So you're meeting people that you can live by example and make connections with as well.
Gail got me together with a Parkinson's patient who was volunteering here at the Almond Light. That's been, I think, my second session. And I really appreciated that. I was a little skeptical at first, like, oh gosh. That reminds me of what days, trials and tribulations I had during the day. It was wonderful. Mm-hmm. She'd had it for 10 years. In fact, she ran with me that morning.
She did. She ran with you.
And makes you feel good, really good.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for sharing. I mean, are there any other programs or components that you want to highlight of your Parkinson's program, or some of the things that On With Life offers here, beyond the support group, beyond all of the great things we've already heard? But,
I mean, how much more time you got?
Oh, you're good. No, we got all the time in the world for you too.
From a Parkinson's standpoint, we have boxing, we have cognitive fitness, we have a Parkinson's singing group. That are specifically more so for Parkinson's, but we also offer for anybody who's gone through any kind of neurological diagnosis. We offer a support group as well for anybody and their families. But some people hate it when I say this, but in our outpatient setting, we're kind of like a junk drawer of neuro. We see any kind of neurological diagnosis, and oftentimes those individuals will come to us because nobody else kind of knows what to do. When we highlight programs, or when we highlight kind of what we do is this big word. It's called neuroplasticity. And what does that word mean? It basically means that any brain can change at any time, at any age, but it needs things like salience, which means something that's important to the person served, like Bob, running, wiffle ball, those things. We have to make sure that we're doing the things that make sense to you. So salience, repetition, we've got to do it over and over and over and over and over again. And it has to be task specific. So it's got to be like this specific task that we're relearning over and over again. But what we do with that neuroplasticity and that salience is we see PT, OT, and speech, but we're all working on your goals together. That's the key, is that you doing the thing that you want to do, then we're coming from PT and OT and speech. And I think that's what really makes us unique here, is our core principles of how we try to treat people.
I love that. Well, Bob, is there any big goal? What's your next goal?
Well,
what do you got your eyes set on?
I'm to the point now where occupational therapy has given me my independence back somewhat.
That's awesome.
I can go to, my wife trusts me to walk to the grocery store without tripping over something or like that. I've driven the car a few times.
Yeah.
I think I was okay to do that, but the thrills they've given me here have really enhanced my ability, confidence. That's another thing. They really give you confidence that I could probably drive a car now. Mm-hmm. And I quit doing that because of my reaction time. But I think we've turned the corner on that.
That's amazing.
That I have not heard that, so I love that.
Well, Jeannie's not here, so she'll.
If Jeannie were here, that'd be a different story.
She might not trust you.
But let me give her a lot of credit, and Gail knows her very well now. She is my rock, and don't try and do it yourself. On with life. You got a team. You got people that care about you. My wife, I'm just fortunate enough she's still healthy enough in her age. She's a couple of years younger than I am. That the mundane tasks don't seem tedious to her. I hope on your journey, if you're listening to me, that you have someone like Gail or someone like Jeannie, and your journey is going to be a lot smoother.
Yeah, she's awesome. Yeah, but you guys make a great team, though, right?
I was going to say she might not let you go to the grocery store because you might come home with Oreos or something like that, right?
But exactly.
With your diabetes, don't come home with
don't do
Oreos.
that.
Well, you know,
for sure not.
I was 22 years old when I got married. She was 20 and I had diabetes already.
Yeah.
She's been my partner for 47 years.
I love that.
Yeah, and like I just even to talk about, and then we can stop whenever you want. But when we talk about care partners, like one of the things that I have seen that Jeannie had to do was be able to allow you to have more independence. Like initially with how sort of dependent you were, it was really hard for her to be able to back up and allow you the opportunity to fail, which is really hard because you've already fallen, you broke your collarbone, you've got this going on. She's going to swoop in and kind of like take over everything. And by if she would have continued to do that and not sort of like through the process, allow you to evolve and we call it dignity of risk, right? Like there's going to be a potential of you falling, but she had to allow that. And she's even had a lot of growth through this whole sort of like disease process. In cutting some of those apron strings, which is nerve-wracking. Oh my gosh, that's scary. But she's done such a good job as you've evolved with this disease process, so has she.
Exactly.
And been able to figure out how do you guys live cohesively with it? And where's the give and take when you need a little or when you don't, not to be hovering. And she's done a great job with that.
Amazing. Well, I mean, anything else you guys want to cover? I know you two could talk all day long,
and
you probably will after we cut the mics, but we're going to wrap up our episode with a little thing that we call Off the Rails, which is a randomly generated question that you guys get to answer. I know, I'm actually very excited for you too. And it just so happens the question that I generated, I think this is funny and a little bit fateful, is that what is your favorite mascot? And why? Which I'm like, I don't know how that happened, but that's what the question was. So, your favorite mascot?
Could I throw something in real fast?
Absolutely. No, you take your time and you throw it in.
In this journey here, a lot of times you have like the ups and downs of it. Don't get discouraged, but get a good team behind you. It's not going to be perfect. Mm-hmm. And that's another thing. They don't sell you a blind horse or something like that. It's just, they're realistic with you and they're evaluate you very well each and every time you come in. So, and my mascot, I got to be a Hawkeye. What do you mean?
Oh, I knew it.
Can we cut?
Awesome. What about you?
Gail?
Gail, are you sportsy over there?
I'm not, but you got to think about the first thought bubble that comes to my head. And when I was a senior in high school, I moved to Rock Island, Illinois, and I was like, "What is the mascot? A big rock?" And it is. So the Rock Island Rocks, and I was like, "So does the mascot just walk? Is it like a big rock,
and just
or like
does
around? I mean, what happens to it?" And it literally was a person with a rock head. So I got to go with that, just because that was my first thought bubble. I went to Rock Island Rocks. Okay.
Oh, I love it.
I meant to say, one day we came in, Jeannie and I think this is worth noting.
Yes.
And she'd reached her limit.
Yeah.
Helping me up to the bathroom, helping me up to this, and she did. I think she moved on. Chandler, who was here, one of your therapists, I'll just use her as an example.
That's okay.
Let's forget about that. Let's you and I, three of us, sit down and talk. Gave her a handkerchief, and she just sat there and listened to every single thing that she was dealing with and took the person into consideration instead of just another patient.
Well, and that's looking beyond, they're hyper focused on you and your efforts and your progress and your diagnosis, but to look at Jeannie and say, and you as well as the supporter, as the caregiver, as
Definitely.
the partner.
Right. And a lot of places could, because that was a speech session, and a lot of places could be like, oh, okay, whatever. And then we've got to do our speech session. But honestly,
I don't think
what was more important at that moment in time was your relationship, your mental health, everything that was going on at that moment in time needed out. For sure.
Awesome. Well, you guys have been awesome. I really, seriously, I think we could take it on the road.
Let's do it.
We could do that.
Okay. Get you back behind the mic. Well, I just thank you again. And people have a lot to learn, but they have a lot to look forward to. And
celebrate too,
absolutely.
Right? Celebrate successes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you both. Everyone, you can watch Bob and Gail spar back and forth in these hilarious instances on YouTube, or you can...
I thought this was going to be politics.
No, we're staying far away from that, Bob. Far, far away.
Please.
No. Or you can catch a ticket wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Google, Spotify. We really appreciate you guys coming by. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. You're a stud.